She sees good in everyone, and I see the truth. These are the words of Kara from the newest Supergirl film, and they have much more meaning and depth than I would say so at the beginning, especially when I watched the trailer. I didn't expect that these words will hit me so deep after watching the full film. Newest Supergirl film is much more better and interesting than is being said. And there is a huge wave of criticism that is doing what it can to basically sink that boat. I do not agree with that, and I will not jump on that wagon of criticism. And actually, I will try to defend this film and I will tell you why. Let's start from the criticism, why it is happening. I strongly believe that is because obviously the fans are the ones who have the expectations, the ones who basically create the whole fan base, and they want to decide and be on this seat to say how their superhero should be presented in the cinema. I completely understand that, especially if you read a comic book, a book, or a movie, or other superhero films, and you compare the character to the ones you like or love, when this kind of stereotype and model is being created and expectations are being set, this is very difficult or even impossible to overcome. But it is natural thing that is happening and it will keep happening. And if the people can step out and see the bigger picture, then I think this is when the clash happen. Another thing might be superhero fatigue that is impacting the superhero films and the cinema, but not on the same way or level you think it is being talked about. It's not about that we had too many superhero films and people are tired. I still believe that people want to see the superhero films, yet they want to see a specific type of superhero films made in a specific way. And what that means, what the type I'm talking about, is about the stereotype and the model that they basically want to be followed. After seeing movies like Wonder Woman, Avengers: The Infinity War, or in my case, Man of Steel, we all want other film and superhero to follow that path and pattern. And this is the type and the model then people want to see. And they don't want to see anything else. If they don't get what they want, they are being unhappy and upset and start obviously complaining and looking for everything what is bad just to highlight this negative feedback or opinion they have. Because like no one wants to just have an empty argument. They look for every flaw they can basically find just to justify this opinion. But again, I say that many times that's not the way to enjoy the cinema and watch the films. Obviously, you can be critical as much as you want, but it's all about the way you feel about the movie and the characters in the films. Like I say, I can understand why people might not feel that one. And obviously, a way, all of it is connected to the social media problem. Because these days, everything what is negative sells better. This trashing, complaining, negative way of presenting things gives more views, likes, and obviously create the whole lifestyles that people dream about. So nobody wants to go against the current and Everyone goes with the flow, even if they don't feel that way, even if they don't see the things that way. If this is what can bring them what they want, their life or attention they're looking for, they're most likely willing to go with it than not. I do not watch superhero films to see a perfect person to save broken world or to face a dangerous villain. I'm watching to feel the emotions they feel. I'm watching this movie to see broken person that is struggle with impossible burden. Obviously the difference is that they have powers and we don't. When they life is harsh too, like our life is harsh, this mirror of the human nature, this is what is very interesting and attractive for me in the cinema. I like and love to feel what they feel. I like this emotional payload these kind of dramatic characters can deliver. And I think a lot of people, like I said at the beginning, was expecting to get this lighter, optimistic version, this sugary coated, sprinkle painted version of the superhero. The childish, more accessible, more optimistic story that can be basically enjoyed. But in this case, it's quite opposite. This film is darker. It brings, in my opinion, more vibe and is closer to the Zack Snyder universe than obviously all the Marvel or other superhero films that are out there. And I think this is how the DCU in some way is more darker and more problematic, more dramatic. And I like when other universes or superheroes go that road too, because a good drama feels much better than the comedy or some lighter, positive, optimistic version. We need both stories, and I'm more than happy that we are getting it both ways. But in some way, I feel like this is really taken against this film, and it shouldn't. I think that Supergirl is really about this grief, pain, love, and being alone. And I feel that even the story that might be not the best, that might lacks some of balance, but mostly because of the timing, in my opinion, because the movie is around 1 hour and 50 minutes, that is at least 30, if not 40 or 45 minutes less than some other superhero films had. It's basically a full episode of TV show. A lot can happen in that time, a lot can be shown in that time. And I think if this movie would be longer, with obviously some creative choices going different way, I think this film would be not good, not excellent. That would be really amazing or even a masterpiece. But yet, it's not. But I love this movie for what it is. And I'm focusing on that rather than on what is not. Obviously, the craft is all about the categories: directing, story, writing, special effects, music. And I see already that a lot of criticism falls into a lot of major categories here, like special effects, like camera work, and obviously writing and story. Even some performances are not taken very lightly or very well, apart from the main lead actress. But again, I think like this is more to justify the negative arguments and opinion rather than a fact. I'm not arguing that there couldn't be improvements here. I'm not saying there's no lag in the story or the special effects couldn't be better or camera couldn't work or be positioned better. Definitely could. I'm saying that for me, all these mistakes and imperfections or what is lacking here was basically overcome by what is working. I think the music is great. I love the songs and the music in this film. I think the main actress, Millie Alcock, is fantastic and she really delivered great character and performance here. After seeing her cameo in the Superman, I was really expecting that this movie will be bad and will be another film to complain about or trash from the DCU under James Gunn, but it's not. Maybe because he didn't direct this film and didn't write the story. Again, that doesn't mean the direction and the writing is perfect. No, it's definitely not. It can definitely be better. Some creative decision could be different or go another way. The story could be as well written better. We could fill some gaps. There are some plot holes. But yet, a lot of things is working here. I like action sequences. I like the color and the tone of the film. And even special effects were good enough for me to not focusing on what they are not, because that was not my main focus. My main focus was on the how I feel, what I'm seeing, how I can connect with the character. And I think this is when writing is actually strong because it gives this connection. Even the villain, who isn't the best, in some way is working because he's creating a reaction. The people dislike him, the people are not happy with him. In some way, this is working. So yeah, the craft here might be not 10 out of 10, but if there is a scene, there is a moment, and there are moments here that can change the way I feel about this film. And they actually managed to change the way I felt about this movie. So this is what the cinema and the film is about. The craft? Yes, I loved when it can take the first place and give me these goosebumps and chills. But if not, it's good enough for me if it supports the emotional payload, my connection with the character, and the story and the way I feel about the film. When it does, the job is done. The idea. The idea here is something that is really strongly overlooked by the criticism of everything else, basically. I feel like nobody asked the question, what if? How to is to be a superhero? I think that what the idea and the story explores here. This kind of huge what if. What if the angel will fall? Will it become a demon? Will it survive in the imperfect form? What then? I think this film is basically going to this direction to explore the goodness in these very unique people or heroes, and asking this question, can they be still good beyond the pain, beyond the whole trauma and imperfection they carry, like us, but on the much larger scale? The idea here does not ask us to admire perfection, to admire a symbol, to be ideal. It asks us what then, or what after the pain, after the damage, after the brokenness, what basically happened then, what next. Shadow. In my shadow and with a lot of critique, what else I can say I already have not. I think this movie is not perfect, but it has everything that makes me want to watch it again. There's everything that make me connect with the character, that delivers a huge emotional payload and make me feel the story and the character. And this is all what I need. Yeah, there's a plenty room to be unhappy here about a lot of things. You can be unhappy about running time, definitely way too short. You could get much more from Kara and her story, or the villain, or the other characters. There is also this part about being authentic and kind of checking this movie for yourself. So my final words are, do not allow the opinion of others decide how you feel about something, how you feel about the movie or the thing you're watching. Doesn't matter if it's a big or small screen. Like here, it's very easy to join and be unhappy about this thing. And I think it's much harder to actually stand up and say like, no, this is actually pretty good or even excellent film and I love it or I like it. And obviously I wish everyone here to go and watch this film and feel the way I feel about it. But if you feel different, that is fine too. Not everybody has to like this movie. But still, I think the world and a lot of people is much more harsh or harder on this film that it deserves to be. I think the Supergirl is definitely my superhero of this year so far. I do really place it in a quite high position. This is actually a film I didn't place on my most anticipated movie list. And now, after watching it, I wish I did. As always, if you like this content, you like my reviews, please hit a like, leave a comment, follow or subscribe, and see you next time. Take care. Bye bye.